This is a notice from the Federal Bureau of Domestic Animal Surveillance. Your dog has been barking at 3:17 a.m. for the past 11. You think it's responding to wildlife or distant sounds, but surveillance cameras show nothing moving in your neighborhood during these episodes. The barking follows a pattern: 3 short bursts, silence for 47 seconds, then 2 long howls. This is not random animal behavior. Your dog is responding to something that stands at the edge of your property line, just beyond the range of motion sensors. It appears on thermal imaging as a tall, thin heat signature that remains perfectly still for exactly 93 minutes before moving to the next house. Your dog has learned this schedule. The entity has learned your dog's warnings. When your dog barks, the shape tilts its head toward your bedroom window. It's listening to see if you wake up. If you do, it leaves immediately. If you don't, it moves closer to your house. Your dog now sleeps facing the back door during daylight hours, even when placed in other rooms. Its sleep pattern has shifted 23 minutes earlier each night for the past 3 weeks. Veterinary records show your dog's body temperature drops to 94.6 degrees Celsius between midnight and dawn, 4 degrees below normal canine temperature. The pupils remain dilated in bright light, but constrict normally in darkness. This is the opposite of healthy eye function. Your dog's saliva has increased in viscosity by 30% since the barking episodes began. When you call your dog's name after 11 p.m., it doesn't respond to the sound. Instead, it responds to the vibrations your voice creates in the floorboards. The entity has been teaching your dog to rely on different senses. Your dog is adapting to perceive the world the same way the entity does. Tonight, your dog will not bark. You will feel relief and assume the problem has resolved itself. During this silence, you will hear your own footsteps walking through your house while you remain in bed. The sounds will originate from your kitchen, then your living room, then the hallway outside your bedroom. The footsteps will match your walking pattern exactly. The slight drag of your left foot, the way you pause at doorways. You will investigate and find nothing. The entity spent 11 nights learning the sounds you make moving through your space. Now it practices those sounds while you sleep. Each night of silence, the imitation becomes more accurate. By the 4th night, the sounds will include your breathing patterns, the way you clear your throat, the specific rhythm of your movements. The entity is learning to become you. Your neighbor Margaret hasn't blinked in your presence for 6 days. You've noticed, but told yourself it's coincidence. She stands in her kitchen window for 3 hours each morning, facing your house. When you wave, she waves back with the correct arm motion, but her hand moves in slow motion. While her arm moves at normal speed, other neighbors interact with Margaret normally, suggesting they don't notice the timing discrepancy. Your dog whimpers and hides when Margaret approaches your fence line. Yesterday, Margaret mentioned a conversation you had about your job, a conversation that took place inside your house while you were alone. She provided details about your work schedule that you never shared with anyone in the neighborhood. Margaret's skin looks exactly like it did 6 months ago, but her eyes reflect light differently now. The entity doesn't replace people. It improves them. 3 residents from surrounding blocks have been reported missing in the past month. Each family found the missing person's shoes arranged in a perfect line by their front door. The shoes were clean, despite the missing individuals having walked through muddy areas the night they disappeared. Security cameras show these people leaving their homes at 3:17 a.m. walking with unusual precision toward the tree line beyond the residential area. Their movement patterns are identical. The same stride length, the same arm swing, the same head position. They walk as if following instructions they cannot disobey. 2 of these missing people own dogs that began barking at night 3 weeks before the disappearances. The third person lived alone, but was heard talking to a dog that wasn't there. Neighbors reported hearing barking from inside that house, but animal control found no evidence of pet ownership. The missing people were responding to the same signals your dog receives. Lock every door and window when your dog's barking stops. Do not investigate sounds that match your own movements. Do not look directly at neighbors who stand motionless in their yards. The entity catalogs human behavioral patterns through direct observation. Each person who sees it adds new information to its imitation database. Your neighbors who have been improved now serve as observation posts, monitoring your daily routines and reporting your patterns to the entity. The mornings Margaret stares at your house. She's documenting what time you wake up, which rooms you visit first, how long you spend in each area. This information helps the entity perfect its mimicry of your specific behaviors. Avoiding visual contact with improved neighbors limits their data collection effectiveness. Stay inside between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. The entity moves through neighborhoods during this window, comparing its learned behaviors against the original residents. Your dog will begin following you to every room starting tomorrow. It will not leave your side, even when sleeping. This is not increased affection. This is protection protocol. Your dog recognizes that the entity has completed its study phase and moved to integration attempts. The entity will try to enter your house by mimicking your behavior so perfectly that you believe it's yourself returning home. Your dog can distinguish between you and the imitation through scent markers the entity cannot replicate. When your dog blocks your path to the front door or refuses to let you enter certain rooms, obey immediately. Your dog is preventing you from encountering the entity during its practice sessions. The entity rehearses being you in your own home while you're away. Your dog has learned to detect when these rehearsals are taking place. The entity has been documented in 47 neighborhoods over 18 months. In each location, residents initially cooperate with containment protocols. The entity adapts to every security measure within 6 weeks. It learns to bypass locks, avoid cameras, and enter homes without triggering alarms. Current containment only delays integration by an average of 34 days. The entity's success rate is 100%. 1. It eventually gains access to every targeted household and completes whatever process it performs on selected residents. Improved neighbors from previous neighborhoods continue to function normally within their communities. They maintain jobs, relationships, and social obligations. Medical examinations reveal no physical abnormalities. The improvement process is undetectable to current diagnostic methods. We cannot determine what the entity gains from this process or why it selects specific individuals. You cannot prevent what is coming. The entity has already mapped your behavioral patterns, studied your dog's responses, and identified your household's vulnerabilities. It has improved several neighbors to serve as monitoring stations around your property. The missing residents from your area were not random selections. They were preliminary tests to refine the integration process for your specific demographics. Every neighborhood provides data that improves the entity's methods for the next location. Your area represents the 48th iteration. The entity's current capabilities far exceed its initial limitations. It can now replicate human behavior with 99.7% accuracy. The detected 0.3% variance is undetectable to human perception. Only dogs can identify the difference. The entity chose you before your dog began barking. The barking was never a warning. It was confirmation that selection was complete. Your dog's behavioral changes indicate the entity has been studying your household for far longer than 11 nights. The thermal signature at your property line is not the entity's first appearance in your neighborhood. It has been present for months, learning your routines through methods that bypass current detection systems. Your dog only began responding when the entity decided to make itself partially visible. It wanted you to know it was there. We've seen it before, but now it sees you. The entity doesn't randomly select victims. It chooses people who serve specific functions in a larger pattern we cannot comprehend. Your role in this pattern is about to begin. This transmission will end in 30 seconds. When it does, you will forget you read it. The information will fade from your memory at the same rate the words disappear from your screen. This is not a malfunction. This is intentional design. The entity requires you to learn these details through direct experience rather than advanced warning. Knowledge of its methods reduces the effectiveness of the integration process. By tomorrow morning, you will remember only that your dog has been barking at night and that you should lock your doors. The specific details about thermal signatures, improved neighbors, and missing residents will seem like fragments of a dream. You will dismiss them as imagination. When your dog stops barking and the footsteps in your house begin, you will not remember this explanation. The entity needs you to react with genuine confusion and fear. Your authentic responses are essential data for the completion of whatever process awaits you. If your dog has started barking at other dogs more than usual, especially ones that seem strangely still, you need to listen carefully. This is not aggression. This is not misbehavior. And this is definitely not something you can train out of them. What you're witnessing is a warning. A classified veterinary advisory was issued 2 weeks ago, quietly, without media attention. We were instructed to remain silent to avoid public panic, but after the Southbridge case, we can't stay quiet anymore. Lock your doors. Keep your pets close, and if you see a dog that doesn't blink, walk away immediately. Dogs bark at other dogs for all the usual reasons: territory, dominance, playfulness, even fear. Trainers call it a phase. Vets call it instinct. Most people ignore it. But what if your dog isn't reacting to the other dog at all? What if it's reacting to something inside it? Something wearing its shape, mimicking its movements, but missing one crucial detail. Dogs notice what we don't. They hear the silence between sounds. They sense wrongness. So when your dog barks not playfully, but like it's warning you, and the other dog just stands there, staring, unmoving, that's not a social issue. That's survival. The first incident was reported in Phoenix. Lena Parker was walking her Labrador Max just after 9,000 p.m. A quiet, empty street near West House Street. That's when Max stopped cold. Across the road, under a flickering lamppost, stood a golden retriever, alone, motionless. Max began to growl, low, deep, unlike anything Lena had heard before. She tried to pull him away. The other dog didn't react, didn't flinch. As Lena glanced over, the dog's head slowly turned, not its body, just the head, with an unnatural, smooth twist. Then it tilted, just slightly, eyes wide open. No blink, no breath, no sound. That night, Max refused. He stood at the kitchen window, barking at the darkness for hours. By morning, Lena was gone. Her phone was found on the porch. Screen still on. Camera app open. Frozen on a blurred image of a dog's eye. The second incident was reported in Dallas. Caleb Morris had been training dogs for 14 years. calm, methodical, unshakable. Until the black Great Dane arrived. He filmed the session, routine obedience work, but the dog didn't respond. No flinch at loud sounds, no tail wag, no interest in treats. Just stood there, staring. Then it walked directly into a wall, paused, backed up, did it again. Caleb stopped filming. He said its movements were delayed, like something inside was trying to figure out how bones worked. That night, he messaged a colleague. I feel watched. My own dog won't go near the closet. The next morning, scratch marks appeared on the inside of the closet door, from the inside. 2 days later, police responded to a wellness check. Caleb's dog was found dead in the bathroom. Caleb was in the hallway, curled up, rocking, both eyes scratched out. He kept whispering, "It followed me from the mirror." The third incident was in San Francisco. Maria Rios had seen the beagle before, her neighbor's dog, old and quiet. But that week, something felt wrong. The beagle hadn't moved from the front yard for hours. Same position, same angle. Her Shih Tzu barked violently every time they passed. Not playfully, panicked. Maria assumed it was illness. Ilunder was illness, or age. She called animal control. When they arrived, not even 30 minutes later, the beagle was gone. No leash, no trail, no response from the neighbor. That night, muddy paw prints appeared in her hallway. No rain, no open doors. Her Shih Tzu stood in front of the garage door for hours, barking so hard it started to choke. Maria opened the door slowly. No sound, nothing inside, just the beagle's collar lying in the center of the floor, still warm. They've been unofficially labeled the hollow howlers by rogue veterinary researchers across Texas and Illinois. People who've seen too much to stay silent. These things look like dogs from across the street or through a window. They could pass as just another stray, but up close, the illusion falls apart. Their bodies move like puppets without strings. Limbs bend, but the torso stays unnaturally rigid. Their paws don't compress when they walk. You'll hear nails tapping, but see no weight shifting. Their eyes are pitch, not just dark, but empty. They don't reflect light. No glow in the dark, no shine in the day. Their skin hangs slightly loose, like a costume one size too big. And most disturbingly, they never blink. Not once. These aren't spirits. They're not ghosts. They're replacements. No one knows where they came from. Not even the government. And yes, they are aware. Here's what we do know. They only manifest in areas with dense dog populations. They need real dogs to mimic, to anchor. Some simply follow. Others replace. And if your dog suddenly fixates on another dog, barking frantically while the other stands perfectly still, it means one of them is trying to cross over. When the replacement turns its head slowly and stares at you, you've been marked. The infection begins with you, not your dog. Through eye contact, 3 seconds or longer. That's all it takes. Then comes the sound, barking inside your house in the middle of the night. But your dog is asleep. The howling isn't coming from it. If your dog begins barking at another dog, don't pull it away. Don't hush it. And above all, don't ignore it. Watch the other dog closely. If it doesn't blink, if it doesn't react to shouting, clapping, or motion, If it stands still like it's waiting, do not approach. Do not make eye contact. Turn around, go home, and do not let your dog interact, because the hollow howlers don't need to touch you to enter. They only need to be seen. Once you get home, observe your dog. If the barking doesn't stop, if it stares at walls, corners, or the door, check everything. Lock the doors. Seal the windows. Turn off mirrors. These things don't break in. They follow, and they imitate. If you hear barking from a room your dog isn't in, if something that sounds almost like your dog is scratching at the back door, don't open it. Don't speak. And whatever you do, don't look through the glass, because by then, you're not alone anymore. If your dog suddenly refuses to enter one specific room in your house, don't force them. Don't call it silly. Don't laugh it off. They're not afraid of the dark. They're trying to protect you from something that shouldn't be there, something that waits in the corner, something only a few people are ever allowed to see. Most people think their dog avoids a room because of a smell, or maybe it's too hot, or they're just anxious. But the truth shows itself slowly when your dog starts stopping at the doorway at the same exact time every night, and no matter what, refuses to go in. It's not the darkness they're scared of, it's something else. Something that stays in the corner and watches. George and his Labrador Limo lived in a quiet home. One night, Limo stopped entering the guest room. Same time every night. Limo would sit at the door and stare. George first thought Limo was just acting silly, but soon he started to see strange shadows shifting in the corner of that room. His sleep was disrupted by vivid hallucinations, soft whispers, and distant. Limo would growl deeply and fiercely. Every time George tried to step inside, as if warning him. Within weeks, George began to feel constantly watched, anxious, unable to relax in his own home. He realized that, driven by his own loneliness and guilt over past mistakes, the creature had found a way in nosing. Lay cues is emotional vulnerability as an entry point. He said the air in that room felt different, thicker, like breathing through wet cloth. The shadows weren't just shapes, they pulsed, like they were alive. He told his brother once, just once, but the look his brother gave him, like he was unraveling. George never brought it up again. Later, when George finally moved out, he sealed the guest room shut, nailed boards across the door. No one was allowed in. He told the realtor, "Don't open it, no matter what the new owner says." In a historic home in Salem, Rebecca and her terrier, Coco, experienced a similar terror. One cold autumn evening, Coco refused to go past the threshold of a particular study. When Rebecca installed a camera, the footage revealed a long, shifting shadow moving slowly in the far corner. It's so which it's for it's in the Nate's Valerie. But pine trees, way, waters, bekrega, kosobia tebel, Coco would bark, growl, try to force her away from that room every time she got near. It turned out that Rebecca's deep-seated fears of failure, of rejection, had left her exposed, emotionally open. The perfect target. The unseen entity exploited that weakness, invading her mind and turning her once safe home into a constant source of dread. She tried everything, but every night, at the same exact time, Coco would cry at the door, whimper, scratch, trying to keep her away. The shadow on the camera began to move, closer, frame by frame, like it knew it was being watched. One night, the footage showed something behind her. She wasn't even in the room, just watching the recording. But in the reflection of the study's glass door, something was standing behind her shoulder, and she hadn't moved. In a quiet suburban home, 17-year-old Chris noticed his German shepherd, Tank, suddenly avoiding the family laundry room. It was a completely normal part of the house, one they used every day, but for some reason, Tank would stop at the door, tail down, ears back, growling low at something only he could see. Chris brushed it off for days, until one night he decided to stay in the room alone. To test a theory, he placed his phone in the corner to record. What the video showed chilled him. A tall, shifting silhouette, barely visible at first, standing in the exact corner Tank always stared at. Over the next week, Chris began forgetting simple things, where he placed his keys, entire conversations, even his own birthday. His friends noticed him staring off into corners of rooms, completely silent, eyes wide. Tank refused to go near him. The doctors called it stress. But Chris knew. It started the moment he challenged what was hiding in that ordinary room. The entity had used something real, his grief over his parents' recent divorce, as a crack to slip in, and now it was peeling him away from himself, one forgotten memory at a time. Chris said sometimes he'd catch himself halfway through brushing his teeth, unable to remember if he'd already done it. His voice notes became jumbled, half-finished thoughts, rambling about mirrors, about something behind the dryer. In file number 20, his last recorded note ended abruptly after the words, "It's learning how to be me." The man in the corner always stays in one place, the corner of the room. You can't see him unless he wants you to. But if you hear a buzzing, like an old TV on with no signal, and feel your ears pop, he's close. If the lights flicker, but only in that one room, don't check. When a dog stares at that corner, the creature doesn't move. It freezes. But the moment the dog walks away, or is forced inside, the man starts to move, slowly. You won't hear footsteps, just the soft tap-tap of nails on drywall, like a lizard, or something pretending to be one. He only appears in homes where someone is empty inside, people who feel alone, disconnected, or broken after some kind of loss. That emotional emptiness creates a space for him to enter, and once he's inside your home, he won't leave until he's taken something from you. Sometimes it's a memory, a relationship, a sense of time. Indicated, sometimes it's your voice, other times your reflection. If your dog suddenly stops going near a certain room, don't force them inside. If they growl, bark, or whine, listen. Never look directly into the corner. If you see something standing there, it might see you too. And if it does, it'll remember. Cut it off completely. And remember, your dog isn't scared. They're trying to protect you from what's already inside. From something that doesn't blink, doesn't breathe, and never leaves until you do. If you've ever been awake between 2 and 3 a.m., you know the feeling. The air is still. The world is asleep. The silence becomes loud. It wraps around you like a heavy blanket, almost suffocating. And then the dogs start barking. It doesn't start all at once. First, it's just one, far off, maybe a few blocks away. Then another joins in. Then another closer. Soon, it's a chorus of barking, echoing through the night. And it doesn't feel random. It feels like a signal. A warning. Most people brush it off. It's just dogs being dogs, they say. Maybe a raccoon. Maybe a cat. Maybe the wind knocked over a trash can. But if you've ever truly listened to dogs barking at that hour, you know it's different. It's deeper, more urgent, almost desperate. There's something primal in it, something you're not supposed to hear, and something you're definitely not supposed to ignore. Dogs are our protectors, not just from burglars or danger we can see. They guard us from the things we cannot see. You see, dogs don't just bark at the physical. They sense things. Things that linger in the corners. Things that exist in the cracks between this world and the next. Things that slip through when the veil is thinnest. And that veil, it's thinnest between 2 and 3 a.m. Some call it the witching hour. Others call it the devil's hour. Ancient cultures spoke of it as the time when spirits walked freely, when doors between worlds creaked open. Just a little. It's no coincidence that so many people report nightmares during that hour, or wake up with a feeling of being watched, or find themselves frozen in bed, unable to move or scream, as if something is there, watching, waiting. Dogs. They know. They always know. So, what does that barking mean? If it's high-pitched, frantic, full of panic, they're warning you. They're scared. Not for themselves, for you. If it's low, deep, repetitive, it means whatever it is hasn't left. It's outside. Or closer. Maybe right against your wall. Maybe on the other side of the door. Maybe it's watching you through the window right now. There's something important you need to understand. When dogs bark at that hour, it's not because something is passing by. It's because something has stopped. Something is deciding, choosing, focusing. If your dog is growling low in its throat while staring at a corner, do not look. If it refuses to enter a room it normally loves, close that door, and don't open it again until the sun rises. If it hides under the bed, shaking, don't try to pull it out. It knows something you don't. Let me tell you some stories. There was a woman lived alone. She woke one night to her dog whimpering and barking softly. It wasn't normal for him to bark at night. She thought maybe someone was outside. So she went to the window. She saw a tall figure standing motionless across the street, not moving, not breathing, no face, just a void where the face should be. She blinked. It was gone. She told her sister about it the next day, laughed it off. The night after, her dog wouldn't come near her room. It sat at the door, barking, crying. She disappeared that night. The dog was found 3 days later, still sitting by the front door, refusing to move. Another story. A man heard dogs barking at 2:41 a.m. He thought it was strange. They were neighborhood dogs, usually quiet. Curious, he stepped outside. The night was cold. Still, but the barking grew louder. And the dogs weren't looking at him. They were looking past him. He turned around. There was nothing there. When he tried to go back inside, the door was locked. From the inside, he vanished. His phone was later found on the porch. Screen shattered, camera open. One photo remained. It was blurry, but it looked like a long arm reaching toward the lens. Too long to be human. Some say if you make eye contact with it, it clings to you, follows you, never lets go. It becomes a shadow, always a few steps behind. You'll feel it when the lights are off. You'll hear footsteps, When you're alone, you'll dream of doors that don't exist, and hear whispers in languages you don't understand. So here's what to do. If you wake up and hear the dogs barking between 2 and 3 a.m., don't move. Stay still. Stay quiet. Listen. Don't speak. Don't open the window. Don't look outside. And whatever you do, don't open the door. Even if you hear something scratching, even if it calls your name, it isn't who you think it is. Some people say, if the dogs suddenly stop barking, it's already inside. That's when the real danger begins. You might hear footsteps in the hallway. You might hear the TV turn on by itself. You might hear breathing just behind you. Don't acknowledge it. Don't give it a name. Don't ask questions. Just wait. If the dogs begin barking again, far away, you may have been spared for now. But if silence lasts more than 5 minutes, and you hear something slowly turning the doorknob, the mod creator. Well, it is what's on the other side isn't human. So the next time you hear the dogs barking between 2 and 3 a.m., don't assume it's nothing. Don't assume it's safe. Don't assume you're alone. They bark for a reason. They always have. Just listen. Don't look, don't open the door, and whatever happens, don't let it see you. Vibrato laughs like you. Wife, stop speaking. It started on a Sunday. I was sitting on the porch with coffee, phone in one hand, my dog Max lying at my feet. I was talking to my mom, told her some dumb story from work, and laughed. Short, sharp. Then I heard it again. I looked down. Max was staring at me, mouth open, tongue out. But what came out wasn't a bark. It was my laugh. I told myself I imagined it. Dogs make weird sounds, right? But the next day, it happened again. I was on a video call, laughing, and from the hallway, I heard my exact laugh. A little too loud, a little too forced. Max walked in, sat down, just watched me. Silent. Then I started noticing things. He'd sit close, watching my face, eyes locked on my mouth when I spoke. If I laughed, he tilted his head, ears twitching, like he was studying the sound. Sometimes, when I was alone, I'd hear my laugh echoing from the backyard. One night, the laugh track on TV set him off. He sat in front of the screen, mouth open, and let out a sound that was almost human, almost mine. I turned the TV off. He kept laughing. It echoed, louder and louder, until I yelled at him to stop. He did. Then he started silently mouthing my words, in sync with me. I stopped talking. He stopped moving. I tried testing him, said random things and waited. Sometimes nothing. Other times, I'd hear my own voice, broken and distorted, from another room. I tried to record it, but every time I hit record, he'd just sit and stare. The worst night was when I woke up to my own laugh, coming from the hallway. I found Max sitting by the door, mouth open, that laugh spilling out of him, and for a moment, he was mouthing along with me. Waiting. Now I don't speak. I don't laugh. I barely make a sound. But he still tries. He sits outside my bedroom door, mouth open, Silent, waiting. Sometimes I hear my voice in the backyard calling me by name, laughing softly. If you're hearing this, listen to me. If your dog laughs like you, stop speaking. Don't test it. Don't record it. Don't teach it anything more, because it's not mimicry. It's practice. And once it gets it right, you'll hear your voice calling from the dark, and you won't know if it's you anymore. Just stop, before it's too late.